Hey guys, welcome to 6 Minutes for Monday, November 28th. I'm Jason Fulmore, SE Russell, and today we are doing the Weekend Roundup. And it really should be called the Weekly Roundup because this past week, not all the action took place on the weekend. In fact, much of the action took place during the course of the week. Tournament starting Tuesday, maybe even Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, off certainly for Thanksgiving, Thursday and Friday, and then back at it for some teams this past weekend. So yeah, we're gonna jump into that, talk a little bit about that. Before I do so, just want to cue you to later this week, hopefully tomorrow. I'm gonna drop a 6-minute podcast. It obviously won't be 6 minutes because it never is, but that will focus on which state is the most difficult to win a state title in the Southeast. And there's a lot of different opinions and all those sorts of things. I'll take a look at it from two different perspectives, kind of give my thoughts on it. It is the single biggest question I get asked as it relates to when we go to big tournaments. And we've got a big tournament coming this weekend, Southern Slam at Eastside High School in South Carolina. Look for a preview of that on Wednesday or Thursday. I'm hoping Wednesday. And then a knockout team reveal for the knockout this December in Florida. I had a chance to talk with Don Cash and Rick Tribbett at Osceola, and we released the teams that are scheduled to appear. Hey, I think there are 10 states represented. It's going to be a blast. There's going to be some outstanding competition at this year's knockout. But jumping ahead of the game, let's jump back to what happened this past week/weekend. And let's jump first to takeaway number one. And that is Dudley, North Carolina. Dudley, North Carolina, not necessarily a traditional power, but came in this week and wrestled exceptionally well. They beat 2A state champions Bandy's. They topped Cardinal Gibbons, as well as a bunch of other North Carolina teams to take the Trojan Invitational title and wrestled extremely well. Honestly, they I think they crowned 4 champions, and I'm going to go ahead and look that up to make sure that I'm right. They crowned 4 champions, and I think every single one of their team members made the podium, which is fantastic. Elijah Dorsey, Aiden Rodriguez, Tayshawn Glover, Jaquid Owens each claimed titles over a good field. Bandy's, Cardinal Gibbons, Mount Pleasant, the other teams within this field were quite good. And Dudley showed that they belonged in the conversation in 2022-2023. We'll see how they do heading forward. But at least for this past weekend, they wrestled extremely well. All right, takeaway number 2. And let's stay in the state of North Carolina, and we're going to jump now to not a unknown program in the state of North Carolina, but to a very well-known program, defending 3A state champions Fred T. Foard, led by Coach Carey. He has perhaps the best quartet group in the middleweights/upper weights, as you can see from this picture, with Brock Carey, Braden Mejia, Zane Burchett, Dylan Smith, all claiming titles. They also had Hunter Clark and John Bird, who took second. And I'll tell you what, Foard from 138 to where Dylan Smith tops out maybe at 220, they're a tough team. They might be the toughest team in the state of North Carolina. They've wrestled extremely well. They have some really, really talented wrestlers. And they wrestled well, taking home the Inca's Jet Invitational title. Pivoting away from them just for a moment, at the same tournament, shout out to Loxton Hooper, who of Robbinsville, who came in unseeded and beat all of the top seeds, I think, in claiming the 126-pound title. Not only claimed the title, but actually had the most team points of anyone in the field. Yeah, Brock Carey and all of them, they were all right there with him, maybe just a point behind as far as team points go. But Loxton Hooper tallied 29 team points, knocking off the 10 seed, the 2 seed, the 3 seed, and eventually the top seed, Hagen Moon, to claim the 126-pound title. All right, let's jump to takeaway number 3, and we're going to go ahead and go around, over the border into Tennessee, and we're going to talk a little bit about Battle for the Cure, Women's Invitational Tournament. There were a couple of women's tournaments this past week, and we're going to highlight those all within takeaway number 3. But first, Bradley Central won the Battle for the Cure. It looked like a really solid tournament, especially early in the season for the girls. And they came home with the title, as you can see from this tweet. And they wrestled well. Another person, again, we're going to go to a couple of individuals, although I don't call out most individuals during the Weekend Roundup. But Ainsley Reed of Science Hill, I think she won a tournament in North Carolina days before Thanksgiving, and then came back and won the title at Battle for the Cure. So 2 titles in 1 week for Ainsley Reed of Science Hill. Not too bad. Jump down to Florida. Freedom in Orlando, the defending state champions. They took home a title in I think the Braves Invitational at Lake Gibson, and then we had Daphne, Alabama. Sorry, Daphne's wrestled super well over the last 2 weeks. Won the Gulf Coast Clash women's division down there. Ventured north to Hewitt-Trussville this past week and took care of business there as well. Daphne is definitely, on the women's side, a team that you should definitely watch, and a team to consider, even though they don't have an official state championship this year. They're a team that has put together a pretty solid group, and one to watch. All right, let's jump. Let's stay in the state of Alabama, and let's pivot to the guys' side to takeaway number 4, and that is Mortimer Jordan, defending 5A, 6A state champions. I think they were ranked number 4 in Alabama Wrestling Forum's Jackson Bass rankings for the preseason in 6A. And boy, they wrestled pretty darn well. Not just their varsity, but their junior varsity as well. As you can see from this, the junior varsity took second in the Boo Harmon duels against varsity squads. So the depth in the Mortimer Jordan room is solid. The top level is also solid. Top level beat, I believe they beat Homewood in the semifinals. No, I'm sorry. Patriots lost to Hewitt-Trussville beat Homewood in the semifinals. Mortimer Jordan beat Chelsea in the semifinals. And then Mortimer Jordan beat Hewitt-Trussville 46-27 to claim the Patrick Aaron Memorial Duels at Hewitt-Trussville this past week. So shout out to Mortimer Jordan. Definitely look like they have the pieces in place and are ready to make a run for another title. All right, let's shift back over to the state of Georgia, and we're going to talk a little bit about takeaway number 5 is Lee County. Lee County wrestled super well last week. I think it was last week. The Raja Bryan Invitational up at Ola had 3 champions. And then this past week, right before Thanksgiving, they ventured down to the Grapple on the Gridiron, where they beat Valdosta 46-22, Thomas County Central 41-33, and Cook 60-21, before beating Coffee in the finals to take the title. And Lee County, I think all 6 of these wrestlers finished the day unbeaten. Dominic Vigil at 285, Tanner Musgrove at 138, Riley Brewer at 144, Carol Alalde at 113, Alexander Tabb at 120, and Aiden Chilson, who split time between 175 and 190. Lee County is definitely a team that's shown up early in the season and is one to watch in Georgia, definitely. All right, and takeaway number 6, our last takeaway. I don't want to call it a surprise, but anytime a team can down the defending 4A state champions in the state of North Carolina, and that would be Laney, they definitely deserve some recognition. Hoke County wrestled exceptionally well last weekend and claiming an individual title. And this past week, I think it was before Thanksgiving, they went on to win the 2022 Vernon Walworth Duels title. And they beat Cary 39-34 to win Pool A. And then they jumped out to an 18-0 lead by pins from Rainer Schlosser, Jalen Bethea, and Yadiel Colon Torres, 113, 120, and 126. 18-point lead set them up as they held off Laney and won 42-37. Hoke County, just like Lee County down in Georgia, Mortimer Jordan over in Alabama, a few other teams that we've been talking about, they've now had a very good few weeks. Definitely teams to watch as we continue on into the heart of the season. All right, it is a busy week for me, and I will be at the Southern Slam this weekend up in Greenville, South Carolina. Tons of tournaments going on. Make sure you check back in to some of the other things that we're dropping this week. And best of luck. You guys have a great week. Bye.